What's going on, everyone? Today I have Sue Bryce with us, who needs no introduction. Everybody knows who she is. She's amazing. She is the face and name behind the Portrait Masters Conference. And right now she has been dealing with the task of taking an in-person conference workshop type scenario and turning it virtual in a very short time frame, because up until all of this stuff hit, you guys had everything set for your in-person stuff. So how's that been going?
It was crazy because we didn't want to do a Zoom conference, right? And obviously we're like, this is the photography conference and everybody needs to be able to see the photographers, but it's a photography conference and video and photography are married or at least dating. You know, and the truth is at the end of the day, there's a very fine line that crosses you from one to the other. Mm-hmm. And that fine line comes down to telling a vertical story with a horizontal frame. Comes down to good audio, which we know just about every photographer cannot do. And then the third component would be talking to a camera, which is really just a black circle or box. Yeah. Instead of a live audience. So we sent out this production in a box. We troubleshot everything we could troubleshoot. Like our audio engineer, Callan, he's the head of our production, was literally zooming into the room with the instructor for 27 classes. He did that. He would zoom himself into the room and do the audio, the light check, the composition. And they're photographers, so, you know, they know how to light, they know how to make, but it's very hard to do that for yourself. So luckily, everyone was in a different restriction somewhere else in the world. There wasn't anybody that couldn't have one other person in the room. So inevitably, we could get somebody to press play, somebody to watch the focus, somebody to do that. But inevitably, we've created 28 classes of photo shoots and keynotes that are just packed full with learning. And I think it's going to be insane. And I think everyone's probably thinking it's going to be a lame Zoom conference. And then they're just going to be like, what? So you wait. I don't think we've even showed people what we have created just yet.
Awesome. I'm super excited. What, as far as like transitioning from the in-person aspect into the virtual, what do you feel like was like the biggest struggle that you had to get over or that you had to deal with?
The camaraderie is why you go to the Portrait Masters Conference. Yeah. The camaraderie, the people you meet, the parties, the fun, being away from your kids so you can just fully immerse yourself into the world of photography, into your business, because part of you always wants to be that person that is obsessed with their business, but you have a family and a life and a husband or a wife or somebody that wants your attention. And inevitably, you know, when you're at the conference, it's nothing but conference. I think the hardest thing was the shootouts, because the shooting bays at our conference are mind-blowing. And this year we had 35. I had to style 35 different shooting bays because we want people to do as much hands-on photography as they can. And that goes away. And they can't shoot now with anybody, and it's just heartbreaking. But then I thought, well, okay. So I think what George and I tried to do is we tried to take every in-person experience and come up with an equal or awesome online version of that. So for me, it was the shootouts. So I was like, what would you do if you had one model, 4 photographers, none of the photographers saw the other ones do anything, and you just walked into a room and you had 30 minutes to take this portrait of this girl. You can choose between, there's 10 backdrop colors, there's some lights, there's a natural light window, there's some constant lights, there's some pro photo lights. Bring your own camera. And Canon went, yes. So we got 4 amazing Canon Explorers straight away, boom, straight in. They all went head to head and mind-blowing. So they have not seen the other 3 photographers and what they've shot.
Oh, they still haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So they're going to see that.
They're going to watch it live and be like, oh, I should have done that. Dang it.
Then Sony did it. And then Pro Photo, 4 Pro Photo Masters went head to head.
Oh, that's awesome.
So in New York, they got one model and she was able, they were no touch. They had to come into the room, meet the model, choose her outfit, style her, and then they had to go into the studio, and we used Peter Hurley's studio in New York. And then they would go and set up their light and tell everybody the light they chose, why, how they're going to light it. Then they set up the model, then they live shot it. And now you get to watch all 4 photographers shoot the same model, just different visions.
Yeah,
then you
different
get to
styling
learn.
and all that.
Yep, different lighting setups, different posing, different direction and connection. And then we retouch them so that you can see them and learn about the retouching. And also the photographers gave instructions on how they wanted their work finished. So that was one way of doing that. And I think I would like to do more of that, because it's literally a television that it's like a TV show I would watch.
Yeah, like every photographer would be like, oh, I can't wait to like have like tournament style. Everybody comes down and you get down to the end and you have like one epic shootout for the finale. I would watch that for sure.
It was so funny. And to see the photographers be kind of naturally competitive, it was kind of like, oh, how many lights did so-and-so use? 2. I'll use 3.
And I'd do the opposite, be like, I'm only using 1 light then.
Yeah.
We'll do better with 1 light.
I'm not using any light at all. I know. I think it was great to see. Also, photographers, even seasoned instructors, when you live shoot, there's a component of not nervousness, but it's a different feeling than when you're just in your own, you're not aware that people are watching your process.
Yeah.
So something very different happens to you. And so you get really nervous. So it's really good to watch everyone get nervous.
Yeah.
And because I couldn't fly to New York, I couldn't be part of the shootouts. So I was super bummed about it, because I really wanted to be part of it.
Oh yeah, that'd been awesome. That's so cool. So aside from the like the live or the shootout aspect, what are you most excited about for this live or virtual conference?
I know that you probably think it's just going to be people speaking to Zoom webcam, similar to what we're doing right now, but it's not. We've done 28 classes. We've filmed 28 classes. We have shoots. We have marketing. We have epic keynotes. Mark Seliger is incredible. Tabitha Coffey, unbelievable. So her and I get on a call. First of all, I commented on her Instagram and said, speak at my conference. I sent you an email. On her Instagram, she responded, already replied. And I was like, so I run to my email and she's like, I own your course. And I was like, how is this possible that she watches she's watched my online workshops? And she was like, yeah. And most amazing, just butt-kicking, smart, fierce, intelligent woman. And she was like, I want to come to the conference for the whole week. I want to have a photo with every attendee. So when this happened, I was so gutted. I thought we would lose her. And she just instantly flipped it online. And she said, I'll come next year. So I was just like, wow, we have amazing keynotes, incredible classes, critiques. And then all the vendors have just shown up for you guys and us. So, wow.
That's awesome. So I know, like, I got the feeling, I only went to last year's in person, but I got the feeling that you have a tendency to bring in some amazing photographers that are kind of up and coming, starting their journey as being a speaker. One of the examples from last year, which is one of my favorite ones of the keynotes, was Dayron Vera. So who do you have? Do you have anybody lined up that's similar, like up and coming, that you're super excited for?
Yes, I do. Three newbies.
Awesome.
Three newbies, but the first one, she's not that new, is Kesha Lambert.
Okay.
So she's Connecticut based. She's been named a Sony Artisan, and she's wedding and portrait with an incredible business and 3 associate photographers. So her keynote was, she wrote a letter to herself 10 years ago, 10 years ago, Kesha, the photographer.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing woman. Carl Ferguson. I didn't know who Carl was. And so what I do is every year I start to put out to people that are just always watching, and Instagram is my most visual platform to find speakers and photographers.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a speaker and a photographer that wants to get noticed, it's really easy. Hashtag Sue Bryce photographer. If you want me to look at your work and I can introduce you to the right person, then like seriously, just tag me, because I'm always looking for speaking talent. I'm always looking for photography talent. Carl Ferguson Jr., mind blown. What I love about Carl the most is I don't want to. I feel like I'm revealing the plot twist in his movie. So
yeah,
I just need you guys to hear this guy's story, because he's photographed some of the most incredible celebrities in the world and spent time with them, and he doesn't work as a full-time photographer.
Oh wow.
He works at a power plant for Verizon in New York. Okay. And this guy is going to literally blow your mind. So I think he's extraordinary. Jay Mayhew, also from St. Louis.
Okay.
Is it Louis? St. Louis?
Tomato.
Is really incredible. And this is her first time on our stage too. So yeah, we've got some newbies, and yeah, Dayron is out of this world. So Dayron, I don't know if you saw in person.
Yeah.
Did you see the video I played of him as a prima?
As
right?
The dancer and stuff, yeah.
So his wife is also a prima ballerina, and they own a very big dance school in Barcelona. And Jason and I are lucky enough to be able to go to Barcelona next year. We were supposed to go this year to go and shoot in his dance school, but we had to cancel it. So we are going to be going to Barcelona next year to meet Dayron, to shoot with him in Barcelona, which we are very excited about.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, but to find new speakers is tough.
Yeah.
And so it's actually something my keynote is about, is developing future speakers and leaders for our industry. So
okay. Yeah, I'll have to tune into that one for sure. That sounds awesome. Yeah, it's hard to train, like a good photographer does not make a great speaker, and a great speaker does not make a good photographer. So to like find the two where they intersect and you're interested in both, that's definitely that's a hard line to fall on.
That's a really great point, because I maintain that I am a good photographer and I am a great business owner.
Mm-hmm.
But education is definitely makes me education. I'm definitely one of those people. Mm-hmm. So I always say I know my limits in photography. Like, I mastered my craft enough to get paid well and to communicate my craft really well to the people who are buying it. And I love teaching people how I created a business and how I run my business model and how I make money. And I love doing that. But you're right. I wasn't going to be the world's best photographer, because my calling was to teach and share. And I find that if you don't teach, you become a better photographer, and you just keep creating. And mm-hmm. I do wonder about that, if I took the wrong crossroad sometimes.
I mean, you're no slouch behind the camera. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but when you're on the stage, it's very easy for people to say she's not that good, or she's not that great. Like, her work is okay, but it's not my style. It's not blah blah blah. They can still criticize you, and I get it. I'm humble enough to know my place, but I'm also very good at business, and I'm also very good at teaching how I do this. So it's quite weird that I've ended up with education being such a huge part of who I am, but it's my life now.
Yeah.
And it's really, I'm still a photographer. I'm just a photographer and an educator, but I am a photographer and an educator that has spent more time building platforms. So I'm looking for more educators. I think the biggest problem is in the industry, people compete with you, so they don't follow you because they don't want to be seen as being a follower. And just so we're clear, I have followers on my social media. I follow a lot of people too for different reasons. I have followers, and then I have students who pay me for my education. And then I have photographers and people who just follow me because they like my work. But I don't think of myself as someone who is followed. I think of someone who is networking, future leaders, future photographers, future speakers. So don't compete with me, and don't A lot of the time I reach out to speakers on Instagram and I say, hey, do you speak? I would love to bring you to my platform. And they don't follow me on Instagram. And I laugh because they probably don't want, like, I don't want to follow her, but just follow me as a networker. Follow me as a link, as someone in your network.
Yeah.
You know, I think of it like that.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of ego, there's a lot of ego and a lot of uncertainty when people want to come up on stage. And you need to know that I don't want to be the only voice up here. I just speak to my experience, and there is a whole world of experienced photographers out there that can bring education to you that's outside of and more than what I can offer. Mm-hmm. And I'm just going to keep bringing people up and just keep pushing them out into the stage, and different people hit with different audiences. It's just that simple.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about the Portrait Masters Conference is like, it's not like you have a specific style of portraits, but all the people that you brought in, you had people from like the more commercial side of it, all the way to like this fine art area, to boudoir, to Dayron and all this stuff. So you get a bigger glimpse at all these different types of portraits that you can create.
But they're all portraits.
Right.
They're all portraits, and they're all portrait photographers. They will derive their income from portrait photography in multiple different ways. Mm-hmm. And I feel like probably the biggest thing that hindered me in my success was that people saw my personal work, my personal choice of style, and said, I don't want to learn from her, but what I teach is photography, business, and contemporary portrait. And I use multiple instructors to do that. And I believe you find your style as you start to try, and it's obviously desire-led, like I wanted this to learn this over here, and I mastered this over here. So to me, I'm looking for masters. I'm looking for people who followed like their soul and just went, I need to master this. And to master anything, you've got to do I always do the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours, right? Mm-hmm. You've got to master something. You've got to be obsessed with it to some degree. Otherwise, why are you doing it every single day? And when you become obsessed with photography, you find your way through because you're just constantly throwing yourself on the sword every day. And then you're just in the arena fighting, getting bloody, getting dirty, and then learning, getting faster, getting stronger, learning, getting less bloody. And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm in this fight, like I'm in this, doing this. Yeah. And so then if you have this desire to speak up and start being the face and voice of your brand, it's a perfect opportunity to do that. And you can connect and help hundreds or thousands of people.
Yeah. And just like to become a master at something, you have to figure out what it is you don't like to shoot. But just because you don't like to shoot, it doesn't mean you're not taking the tools that you learned and being able to transform those into what it is that you do like. So just because I learn how to do a Sue Bryce portrait doesn't mean I have to shoot like Sue Bryce, but those tools are indispensable and usable in all the different types of genres when it comes to portraits.
Well, like wedding photography, I would rather stick pins in my eyes and lick a power socket than shoot a wedding. Like physically, I would put 2 pins in each eye before I would shoot a wedding.
You're shooting the wrong weddings then.
Nope. And I shot 103 of them, and I left every single wedding with a migraine headache. Like not just a headache, a migraine headache. And it occurred to me that a wedding photographer learns skills that a portrait photographer will never get. They learn to shoot in any weather. They learn to shoot in any sunshine. You corral sometimes 10, 20, 30, 200, 300 people. You have to get the attention of multiple people. You are working under an extreme family dynamic. Divorces, broken families, melded families. There is alcohol involved at most weddings, and that can get out of control very quickly. You are exhausted, sweating, crawling along the ground, using your body as a reflector, as a shield. I learned more shooting weddings as a photographer, still hate them, still would rather stick pins in my eyes.
And all the stuff you just described, I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. I love that.
Yeah. I can't wait to get back to it.
I know, right?
Yeah, and I just hated it. I hated every part of that. But if you said to me, here's a girl, here's a window, here's a camera, have a conversation with her and tell her she's beautiful. And then when you see her beauty, take a photo of it and show it back to her, and she will pay you thousands of dollars for that. When you said that, I'm just like, every hair on my arm just stood to attention. And when that's what we want. We want to have that conversation. And that is a blessing that you can actually find the way through, because a lot of people think they have to shoot the wedding when they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to do anything.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I should just cut the call right there. That's awesome. So this is just a brief preview of your talk then. What did you say your talk was? Speaking.
Yeah. It's time. It's time people started to diversify their income streams. It's time people started to be a voice, and not just think about it like this. There's lots of different ways to speak. You can speak personally, like if you have a very strong desire to share and build a community around any voice that you have socially, that's a great opportunity for you to do that and build a community on Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, or Vimeo now have a subscription platform, would you believe?
Mm-hmm.
And I think also it's a great opportunity for you to create a narrative in your business that's empowering. So part of my portrait business was to empower women to have really great self-confidence and self-esteem when I first started. So to me, becoming a speaker, I wished I have empowered myself as a speaker to speak to an audience of women, to get them as clients,
mm-hmm.
to photograph them. But I didn't do that because back then I did everything I could to not be the face of my brand. I just hid behind Facebook and Instagram. And it wasn't until I became a speaker for photographers that I realized how powerful the ability to actually get up on stage and speak is, and that you can truly just create a community and change their lives. So I wish I had spoken more as a purposeful photographer, and I hope to go back to that if I can. If I was photographing senior girls, I would want to empower them as young women. If I was photographing just seniors, boys and girls, I'd want to empower them as teenagers becoming adults. Like I'd like there to be a personal narrative in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're ready, if you've mastered your business or your craft, whatever that is, whether it's photography or outside of photography, are you ready to start becoming a leader in your industry? And how do you do that? Because a lot of people want to stand up and stand out. And I think a lot of people think that you just put your hand up and say, hey, Canon, send me a camera. And it just doesn't work like that. Right? So
they'd be sending out a lot of cameras if so.
They would, and they wouldn't be selling any. Yeah. And, when you do get noticed by those companies, like my relationship with Canon has been so incredibly compelling for me to be noticed by a company of their standing and recognition worldwide is like, it's like winning an Oscar for a photographer. So to be asked by one of the camera houses that you are tied to represent them, I think is one of the greatest things you can be asked to do in our industry. Mm-hmm. To ask to be a speaker and share your mastery, whether that's business, marketing, or whatever mastery that is such a great honor. And you just have to understand that you don't get up there and get all the support and riches. It's not kind of how it works. You're getting paid to give information. So if you authentically don't have that information to give, or you feel like a little golem with it, like this is my precious, then you're not becoming a speaker for the right reason. You're just wanting to stand out and be somebody of notice. So just be an influencer. That's okay. Mm-hmm. But if you want to teach, you have to actually teach and give it all away. And there are a lot of things I give away, Jason, that I feel like that was kind of mine, and I didn't.
No, really everybody has it.
Yeah, and there were some things I wanted to keep for myself, but you don't get to keep anything. Yeah. Anything.
Is that one of the struggles that you dealt with whenever you were coming up as a speaker, of like trying to hold these little bits and pieces back?
I never held anything back because like I can speak underwater. Mm-hmm. And I spent most of my life before I became a professional speaker 10 years ago. Most of the people in my life have told me to shut up. So not talking was never my problem. Holding back was never my problem. I am probably balls out one of the most honest people you will ever be taught by anything by, because I just straight out say it and I shock my audience regularly. But I just figured that honesty is the best marketing, it's the best education, and it's the best policy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I couldn't hold anything back anyway. I just had to watch things go. And you just have to remember that you didn't become you in like 3-day workshop. And if somebody can become you in a 3-day workshop, they were already there doing the work, or they're just better than you already. Mm-hmm. So you're not giving anything away. You're just telling everyone how you did it. Mm-hmm. And if they choose to do that, if they take that action and take your advice, then they can do it. And sometimes they take your advice and do it a different way.
Yeah. It's like, here's a path. This is what I walked down. Here's a head start. And now you can go left or right or straight or turn back if you want to.
Yeah. But prepared to be also publicly critiqued on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Your work, your physical appearance, your grammar, and your content. Yeah. And feel free for a lot of people to make up a whole lot of narratives about you when they don't even know you.
Yeah.
Because that's part of being a brand online, and it's very weird, and it's kind of interesting, but at the same time, it has truly impacted my life prodigiously.
Yeah. People get very brave behind a keyboard.
Right. Yeah. So you get them on the phone and they'll apologize to you. It's so weird.
Yeah. That's awesome. So as far as the virtual conference in comparison to the in-person conference, what do you feel? I'm sure you're excited about both of them. You're in love with both of them at this point. Is there one that you want to do more of? Do you want to continue doing both of them, or are you going to go back to in-person as soon as you can?
I think I'm already online. I live online. I teach online. We coach every Tuesday live to all of our students, and every month I live shoot for my entire community. So I'm already here doing it. The in-person events, and when we have them in the studio, are incredible because you get to shoot together and meet and talk face to face, and that component. I think a world exists where they're both available again. I'm already online, so
keep it going.
I'm an introvert too, so I don't draw my power from a crowd. So this is kind of my jam. This is how I like to live my life. I'm in a studio with 2 people right now, and I have been for the last 5 months. It's just absolutely crazy. But I also understand in my business, when I would travel, when I first got to the US in 2011, 12, I would travel to all the conferences, more connections, more vendors, more people, more followers, more friends with other speakers, friends with other industry people. Like, I wouldn't have met you had I not gone to Portrait Masters. Had you not gone to Portrait Masters, I wouldn't have met you and known you. And it's incredible. You can just, but a lot of these people are coming to these conferences and then getting locked out of the A-list groups, and they get locked out of the speakers' rooms, and they get locked out of, and then all of a sudden the speakers become this thing. And it's so weird because people will line up to talk to me after a talk, and they really like to do the whole rock star, make you look and feel like a rock star. But you also have to understand, to the people walking past, that's not something I cultivate. Like, I'm going to say thank you to every person who waited an hour to thank me for my talk. And I'm super grateful that people wait for an hour to give me a hug. Like, it's unreal. But it's not something I need or cultivate. At the end of the day, the Portrait Masters was about, you should be able to walk up to Lara Jade and have a glass of wine with her and ask her a question.
Unless you guys are singing karaoke.
Right. After the karaoke song, and that's exactly what you could do. But all of our speakers wanted to stay the whole week. None of them said, I'll come in for my talk and leave.
Yeah.
Everybody said, I want to be there for the opening. I want to be there for the last party. And I want to come next year just to hang out. So the second year we had most of the first year speakers. The third year we had most of the first 2 years speakers. And we were going to come in this year with all of our past speakers there, just as attendees, having fun with everybody and shooting bass.
Yeah.
So
Well,
cool.
after the 1 year, I was like, yeah, I want to come every year. Why wouldn't I? This is awesome.
So cool. And I think next year, George just has something different and bigger and better planned.
I'm excited.
And I'm not going to tell you what it is yet.
I know you're not. I was like, should I try it? Should I try and get a little hint out of it? Awesome. Well, I don't want to take too much more of your time. I appreciate you hopping on here with me. And I'm sure I'll see you around.
You will. Thank you so much. It was great chatting with you, and you look great. I'm sorry you can't shoot weddings right now, but you'll be back at it soon. And you know, portraits we've been shooting outside right now, but client work is 1 a week.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll
we do what we can.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and we'll talk soon.
Awesome. See you guys.